see if 2026 is the year of, oh, you think your favor's safe? Because I wouldn't. Donnie McClurkin, we fall down, but we get up. After you've done all you can, you just stand. Donnie McClurkin, that one. He has been accused of essaying a young man.
There wouldn't be a Jackie Hill Perry without a Donnie McClurkin. There wouldn't be a Raven Hartwell without a Donnie McClurkin. Raven Hartwell, who'll be playing on y'all Wi-Fi, playing on y'all internet as if her coochie don't spasm every time a bad bitch with a middle part bust down in Lululemon walk by. And that is why I'm finding it really hard to offer a measured perspective around this whole Donnie McClurkin situation, because he gave rise to, he gave legitimacy to an ideology or rhetoric that is still harming young gay black men, young queer folk across the country still to this day.
So now what's going on? Are we really hearing that Donnie McClurkin is being accused of secretly being involved with men after spending years publicly saying he had been delivered from homosexuality? That alone is shocking. Donnie essentially built his entire ministry around the idea that God freed him from homosexuality and that he could help others experience that same deliverance. But according to new allegations, if they turn out to be true, that image may have been nothing more than a mask. A lawsuit has surfaced calling him out and also referencing other men who say they were struggling with their sexuality and faith, only to allegedly be targeted, groomed, and manipulated by him, all while being pressured into silence under the banner of religion. Now listen, I know public figures can be hard to trust these days, but when it comes to Pastor Donnie McClurkin, this is honestly hard to wrap my head around. I'm not saying I know what's true or false, I'm simply sharing what people are talking about out here.
I think this is going to be called, on my second revelation of my vacation, this is called the hurt I've caused. The hurt I've caused.
Out of all the gospel artists and pastors, Donnie McClurkin always appeared to be one of the few who truly lived what he preached. With his powerful, anointed voice and sermons that felt both convicting and relatable, many people believed him, especially because of how openly he talked about his past struggles with homosexuality. He often spoke about how deeply he leaned on his faith and God's word to remain steady. That level of vulnerability drew people in and helped him build a following strong enough to eventually establish his own church, Perfecting Faith Church. That part matters because the entire purpose of his ministry was centered on rescuing sinners and transforming lives through scripture. But now with this lawsuit coming to light, some people feel like it may have been Donnie himself who still needed deliverance all along. His ministry focused heavily on guiding people who struggled with homosexuality and wanted to live in alignment with God's will. However, based on the lawsuit and how the public is reacting, it's starting to look like his transparency may have been more of a disguise, covering up struggles that were far deeper than he ever admitted. The lawsuit was filed by Jeppy Corletto, who says that back in 2003, when he was 21 years old, he went to Donnie's church in Long Island, New York, specifically seeking spiritual help. Corletto was deeply conflicted, trying to reconcile his sexuality with his faith, and it wasn't easy for him. After reading Donnie McClurkin's book, Eternal Victim, Eternal Victor, where Donnie shared how God helped him overcome homosexuality, Corletto believed he had finally found someone who could guide him spiritually. He says he approached Donnie looking for mentorship, only to later realize, allegedly, that Donnie had very different intentions. According to Corletto, when they first met after a church service, they prayed together and Donnie assured him that he would be delivered from homosexuality. Not long after that, however, one of Donnie's ministers admitted to Corletto that he was struggling with the same issue. That minister allegedly began contacting Corletto non-stop and trying to initiate intimacy. It escalated to the point where the minister reportedly showed up at Corletto's home demanding sexual favors. That alone could have crushed someone already battling internal conflict. Corletto says he was ready to walk away when Donnie personally reached out. Donnie apologized and told him the minister would be removed and that Corletto would never have to deal with him again. That's when the alleged manipulation really started. Donnie reportedly framed the entire incident as a test from God and told Corletto he had passed. Believing that, Corletto stayed and gave the church another chance. Over time, he and Donnie grew closer and developed what appeared to be a mentor-mentee relationship. When Donnie offered him a job as his personal assistant, Corletto accepted. During that time, he says they regularly participated in intense prayer sessions focused on praying the gay away. According to the lawsuit, while everyone else had their eyes closed, Donnie would allegedly move closer to Corletto and touch him inappropriately around his private area. Corletto claims that when he opened his eyes, everyone, including Donnie, appeared to still be praying, making him question whether what was happening was real or if it even counted as SA. He wanted to believe Donnie was helping him spiritually. Corletto also alleges that Donnie would deliberately place him in situations alone with other men, framing these moments as spiritual tests. If nothing happened, Donnie would reassure him that he was making progress. But according to the lawsuit, by 2007, Donnie allegedly became more direct and stopped using intermediaries. Corletto says that while they were on a business trip to California, Donnie called him into his hotel room. Once there, Donnie allegedly asked him to remove his shoes, which he did. The claims then become even more disturbing. Corletto alleges that Donnie exposed himself, directed him toward the bed, and touched him despite his objections. Corletto says he begged him to stop, but Donnie continued until it was over. Donnie allegedly later tried to explain the encounter by saying medication he was taking may have affected his judgment and awareness. He also reportedly blamed Corletto for not leaving once he realized where things were headed. From that point on, Corletto says everything spiraled. He struggled with shame, guilt, and confusion, and eventually stopped talking about it. He also alleges that Donnie continued coercing him into intimacy for more than 6 years.
Somebody and they're working directly for you, you are their boss, and you enter into any type of relationship with them that is not business in nature, you open yourself up for a lawsuit. They can sue you. They can say you took advantage of them. They can say, I only did it because this was my boss and I was scared. So it doesn't really matter whether or not y'all think it's consensual, that man is going to get paid.
According to Corletto, whenever he felt convicted and became emotional, sometimes even crying in public, Donnie would spin it into a lesson saying people needed to learn how to express their emotions. The lawsuit further claims that Donnie would sometimes arrange business trips where they had to share a single hotel room, and the behavior that followed was allegedly far from holy. For anyone wondering why Corletto didn't just quit, he says he tried several times. Each time, Donnie allegedly refused to let him go, telling him that without Donnie, he would never be delivered or find purpose in life. Corletto claims Donnie compared their relationship to Elijah and Elijah, insisting Corletto needed him to find direction. And if any of this is true, it's deeply disturbing because none of it reflects godly mentorship. Eventually, Corletto reached his breaking point. He found another job, informed Donnie, and left. Donnie allegedly kept reaching out, and because Corletto had formed a trauma bond, he admits there were moments when Donnie slipped back into his life. But in 2013, Corletto decided he was done, completely rejecting Donnie's version of deliverance and refusing any further advances. Later that year, Donnie sent him an email that read, "I am the actual epitome of a desperate, dirty old man, pawning and groping a young man who is just looking for a friendship and close platonic relationship with someone he wants, looks to for help, guidance, and spirituality. I was trying to go to a realm of sexuality that wasn't right for you. I'm old enough to be your father and want to be something else to you. You don't have that desire for me, and I shouldn't have it for you. I forced myself on you, groping on you, and when I think about it, you never really touched me like that at all. I am really embarrassed at how I am and how I acted.
I don't do nothing else in 2026. I want him to free his people from the shackles of committing crimes and then sending emails."
With the lawsuit and that email now public, people are divided on whether they believe all, part, or none of the accusations against Pastor Donnie. He, however, continues to maintain that every allegation made against him is untrue.
For truth, which you have not heard. You have not heard the truth, but you will. But I just didn't want to go any longer without addressing it. I've remained silent while this campaign, this media campaign was launched. I've remained silent because the Bible tells you to be slow to speak. Slow to speak, quick quick to hear and slow to anger.
Donnie didn't outright deny that something sexual may have occurred, but he did deny committing SA. That has left some people wondering if there may have been a consensual situation instead. Others say they aren't shocked at all by these revelations. Regardless, it's a tragic situation, especially if someone genuinely seeking spiritual help was taken advantage of under the guise of deliverance. If these allegations are true, it raises serious questions about whether Donnie was ever in a position to lead a ministry centered on praying the gay away.
Thing, the email said I did it. I know I did it. I knew what I was doing was wrong when I was doing it. I shouldn't have did it. I thought about doing it. Then I did it again, did it in another state. You tried to get away and I did it some more. Then you ran one more time and then I did it again. I told you do we need a court case? It's saying right there. He did it.
Now, with online discussions growing and several other men coming forward claiming they were also touched by Donnie during so-called spiritual tests, reports suggest more lawsuits may soon follow, further exposing what some are calling a fraudulent ministry. I'm not surprised at all. My bestie's son used to drive limos. He picked up Donnie years ago and said Donnie was highly inappropriate. If you're not from the church, you wouldn't know that there have been rumors about him for years. Donnie McClurkin using the pray the gay away trope to be abusive to impressionable men isn't shocking, but it is very disappointing due to the harm caused. So I have to ask, are you surprised by any of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, baddies.